Welcome to the Queer Confidence Podcast, the podcast to help you become your most confident queer self. I'm your host, he, she, they, Coach Alex Ray, and I haven't always been this confident. In fact, I used to be super insecure. And through this show, I want to share with you what's worked for me, my clients, and my guests so that you can become more confident. Hello, unicorns. Welcome back. Today, I have a special guest for you again. He's been on the podcast several months ago, like maybe 6 months ago now. And I am thrilled to have him back to talk about just what has been happening in his life and his business and everything since we last talked. And the really neat thing was when we first started working together, it was only like, I think it was maybe a month in or so when I was like, hey, do you want to be on a podcast with me? Like, he bravely said, yeah, let's do it. And now you're going to get to hear he made so many leaps and bounds so quickly. Even that podcast was incredible to hear the huge mindset changes, but it's been just blow your mind insane to see what today's guest, MaShawn Jones, has accomplished and who he is today versus 6 months ago. So without further ado, welcome, MaShawn. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today? That was a amazing intro.
I that's my aim.
I think I'm pay you to narrate my life.
Hey, I am down for that. I think that would actually be a fun job, a life narrator. Oh no, what is he doing? He's about to make the same bad decision we went over last week, right?
I think you can add that to your program.
Life narration for a week. Let's go. Oh my God. How are you today? How is life? Catch us up.
You know, life is well. It's since I haven't really talked to you in probably through 2 to 3 weeks since we finished our coaching session.
Yeah.
Life has just been still on the move, on the go. Big life decisions still in the works right now. So I am just going with the flow and just kind of remembering everything that we kind of talked about in our sessions and just making sure that I'm living my authentic self. So that is where I'm kind of at right now.
I love it. So what's been one of the biggest, I don't know, like you're going through a lot of life changes, so I don't want you share what you want to share with everyone. I know we've got a lot of moving parts right now. What are you approaching in a new way, though?
I think one of the biggest ways that let me take it back. One of the things I am actually changing is a mindset. And it actually came from our very, very last session when we talked about what was right for me or what is right. And we normally say what is right or that's wrong, but we forget to add that part of for me. And for me, that was just like a mind-blowing experience, even though it's something that we just think about, we know. I think in today's world society, it's always, oh, that's wrong, or that's right, that's wrong. And everybody's very definitive instead of adding that, hey, that is wrong for me, or that is right for me. But for somebody else, it could be the complete opposite. And so for me, that was just kind of like, you know it, but you never say it. And when you actually say it, it's just the kind of the power of words that it just had me go, wow, I like that. So I kind of look at life in that kind of sense now in different aspects.
Amazing. Okay, so do you want to share with us any like areas where that's popping up for you now?
I think for me, it's just kind of when we talk about full disclosure, I also have a degree in government as well. So when you kind of talk about like politics, and this is definitely not a political podcast, but in just different areas and different policies, some things that before kind of were definitive for me, or like, oh, that's definitive answer. And I'm just like, oh, well, no, that makes sense for me, and that doesn't make sense, for you. Like I can understand like the differences and trying to come to that middle ground. And I've
Mm,
always thought about it, but now politics is just so divisive that it kind of just helps now when you're having these conversations of like, oh, this is right for me, and it kind of takes the edge off of people when you're having these conversations.
that is such a good point, especially with like how divided everyone is right now. Bringing that into politics and just conversations with friends that end up politically bent one way or another.
Yeah.
It's so helpful to have that. How are people reacting when you take that approach?
I believe they are more open, and they're not on guard, because it's in arguments and conversations, people are feeling like you're attacking them sometimes when you're really not. You're just giving your opinion, but they feel like, hey, you're attacking me. But when you say for me, then they're like, oh, wait, okay, cool. Like, now let me look at your perspective. And then when they look at your perspective, they're like, okay, I can see that. And it's like, oh, this is what we're trying to get to. We're trying to have these conversations where you can see the other side. And a lot of times people are just taking where they're at and they're trying to assign that to you. And you're like, wait, that's not where I'm at. So you got to come and you need to see where I'm at. And so when you say for me, it kind of stops people in the tracks, and it kind of makes them think about that the person that they're talking to.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's brilliant. So it not only helps you, it not only helps me, it not only helps like whoever's saying it, like it's right for me or wrong for me, but it also definitely kind of lets other people take their guard down and think about it more, which is what most people are not doing right now. Or like
Right.
they want to argue like absolutes versus like, oh, wait, we're just talking about opinions here? Like, what? It's almost like their mind gets blown when they realize that it doesn't have to be like a cold, hard fact for everyone.
Right, exactly. Because what's your fact might not be my fact, and that's just just the way people were raised, or different backgrounds. So just what you think is your absolute might not be my absolute, and that's completely
Hmm.
okay. And
Yeah.
sometimes people just need to be aware of that.
Yeah. Oh, that makes so much sense. I love it. I love that this is that like our last session, which is usually for all of you to know, usually the last session we spend a lot of time just celebrating, and we did. And we had a mind blowing breakthrough as well. So I think that last session is maybe one of the most powerful. It's so fun.
Agreed. So last and
Yeah,
first.
totally. Okay, what else is one of like the biggest shifts that you've noticed in your confidence over the last 6 months?
I think one of my biggest shifts I noticed is being authentic to myself, is that sometimes even in relationships that have already been formed, whether it's friends, lovers, family, or whatnot, I am showing up for who I am. And even sometimes if something changed in me now, it's like I am just 100% be like, well, this is who I am, and I'm not going to bend to your will. Or, hey, I've been going through this kind of confidence coaching
Hmm.
and building up my confidence to be the person who I always have been, but now I'm able to have that conversation or say, hey, this is who I am. Either you take me or you leave me, and that's what it is. And as you're going through this process, you learn that sometimes your relationships and your dynamics change to the way that you really want it to be. And if people can't take it, then you enjoy that time that you had with them, but then you just kind of have to move on, because we all have to continue to grow.
Yeah, that I I love what you said about like it's not it's not that you're becoming a new person or anything. It's really just that everything that's been inside that you've been afraid to say or voice before, now you're like, nope, this is who I've always been. FYI, I'm just letting you know now.
Right. It's like you're one of those things of I think sometimes in society we get so used to pleasing people. Oh, we need to make people, happy. We need to please them, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not happy on the inside. And now during the confidence coach, one thing is like stop people pleasing, stop people pleasing. And as you're going through these lessons, you stop people pleasing. You're like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing it. And then you realize, hey, now I'm being more authentic. Now I'm more happy in life because I'm no longer, you know, pleasing people and doing things, and I'm no longer busy. And it's and busy in the sense of how I believe you posted, I think last week or this week about, busy is
Mm-hmm.
doing things that you really don't want to do. So you say you're busy, and you kind of get that off, and now you're kind of booked, which I really love how you put all that in your Instagram. And then when you're booked, so you're booked with doing things that you want to do, which is absolutely um, fabulous.
Yeah, totally. And even sometimes, like, I still sometimes do things I don't like really want to do, but there's like a difference. It's like I'm choosing on purpose. Like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this, right? But I'm going to do it because I like the end result. Or maybe I care about, maybe it's like helping a friend with something that I wouldn't choose to go do that thing on my own. That's not really fun for me. But like being with them and helping them out is fun. Um, and then sometimes, like, no, sorry, all the time that I have available for like pouring out for others, I almost said putting out, but like that's different.
That's a different podcast.
That's a different one. Not far off from today's email, but but yeah, pouring out for others is like it's amazing, it's wonderful, and we have to also have time for ourselves. So I do look at my schedule now as like, okay, am I actually, where's my me time, where's my fill me up time? And sometimes that's just sitting and watching Netflix, and sometimes that's my gym time, and sometimes that's like going on walks with Gideon or on my own, because oh my God, I have so much respect for single parents. I don't know how you do it with a human child, because with a dog child, I am like, someone take him from me. At least I can put him in his crate and like go out alone. I don't think that's recommended for children.
No, not at all. That's not gonna work out well for you.
No, I don't think so. Oh my God. So, back on track with confidence. What do you think is one of the um pieces of advice if you were going to go back and offer to yourself like a year ago or even a few years ago? What's something that you would have told him?
I think I would have told him to love his inner child more.
Mm,
I think a lot of times we don't listen to our inner child, or we don't give them that sense of security, and then it just kind of, and not giving your inner child that security then plays out in sometimes very negative ways in life or decisions that you make. But if you're doing everything from, making sure your inner child is, taken care of and well respected, you make better choices and better decisions.
totally. Okay, for everyone who has not like listened to the episode on connecting with your inner child, can you give them like, what does that even mean to respect your inner child?
So when you're respecting your inner child, you are just making sure that your inner child is heard, and you're giving them security, and you're giving it comfort, and you are making sure that your inner child is okay. Because a lot of times with our inner child, we just say, "Oh, you're a child," and we don't listen to it, and then you kind of put baby in a corner,
Yeah.
and baby's not okay with that. Um, and then so you start making, you can make horrible and you can make bad decisions that way, because you're not listening to, this child that can be giving you, positive things to think and positive things to say, and looking at life in a different way, that will, make you happy.
Mm, yeah. What, for someone again that's like really brand new to even connecting, or listening to their inner child. Did you have anything that you think stood out to you as a way that was like especially helpful for hearing your inner child?
Before coaching or after coaching? Sorry, I missed that.
Like during, like, is there anything that you would give now, knowing what you know? Is there any advice that you would give to somebody for like how they can listen better?
I would almost even say that your inner child is almost your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So if your intuition is telling you, hey, something is off or something is wrong, listen to that voice. Sometimes it's not always right. It's not
True.
always right, but a good portion of the time it is correct. So just listen to it and try to figure out what it's actually trying to tell you and
Mm.
what it's trying to give you and prep you for.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when it is wrong and you still respect it, at least like you end up building that internal trust with yourself. You're like, well, I listened to myself. And there's something about that that I find really helps me stop beating myself up too. I'm like, well, I listened to me and I'm kind of like proud of listening to myself, even if it wasn't like, didn't end up the way I thought it would. I'm glad that I didn't betray myself for other people.
Right. And even going on that, how many times well, I'm gonna say how many times, but in life when you're thinking about things and you or you go to school and you know the answer, but you didn't listen to your inner self and then you're like, oh, I do that, or to and you're going through and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times because you didn't listen to your inner child, but it was right the entire time, but you didn't want to. So if it's wrong every now and then, that's completely fine because most of the time it's going to be correct.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree with that. There's so many times when I'm like, why the fuck didn't I say that, right? I knew the answer.
Yeah, or you get yourself in a situation, you're like, I knew that, I knew this was coming, something told me. It's like, well, I didn't trust myself, and then you're just like, man. So
Yeah,
it's definitely really good to listen to the inner child and that intuition and see where it takes you.
totally. And I will add this to when you start having either your inner child, intuition, again, like MaShawn said, there is kind of an area where the line does get blurred. Um, but when you kind of intuitively know something about someone and it doesn't maybe directly affect you, sometimes like you know what they need to do, you know what I mean? Like they are making some life decisions and you're like, oh my god, I know exactly what's going to happen, I know what to look out for. And sometimes you want to like scream the answer to them, and then you have to practice restraint because oftentimes they have to learn it for themselves.
Right, and everybody's not ready to receive it when you know it or when you see it.
Right.
That's all I know. I've been in situations. I'm gonna let you figure it out because you are not ready to receive this, and I am not about to put myself in the middle of that.
Right. Exactly. But at least on the other side, you're like, yep, I knew that. I knew that was coming. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. That's kind of like
uh,
our coaching sessions when we're talking. You're just like, I know how this is going to work out, but okay, I'll let you figure it out for yourself.
yeah, I do that sometimes, frequently. I do. And you know what? It used to be really, really hard too. That was really uncomfortable for me because I just wanted to kind of like rescue people from the pain that could happen if they didn't see it. And what I realized was that all of us are actually better help to one another as humans if we practice restraint in the advice that we give. And instead of going around telling everyone, oh, here's what I think is going to happen for you, being okay and seeing each other as totally empowered and capable of getting through that without our advice, um, which is difficult. There's a lot of restraint there.
I think at this point in like my life, I'm just like, look, I'm consumed in like making sure that like I am getting things squared away. So I'm like, I don't have the time to like go through somebody else's like pain with you. I'm like, if you need me, let me know. If
mm,
not, you just need a voice. And I tell all my friends, if you If you need somebody just to listen when you go through, to say, hey, I just need somebody to listen. And I will
Mm-hmm.
listen. If you need advice, say I need advice, but let me know where you stand and what you want. 'Cause I don't like assuming. I like clarity. So what do you need? So I know exactly kind of if I have the energy to deal with whatever we're having the conversation, or if you need advice or you just need that ear to listen to. However, if you have the same problem over and over again, there will become a point where I stop listening. And that is just that's just because if you're doing the same thing over and over again and not changing, then you're wasting my time at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, on like a macro level here, like let's zoom out. How do you think your relationships have changed?
As far as my relationships, I think I am more definitive in what I will and will not accept from
Mm,
anybody. And I think that my boundaries are a lot more set in how I look at boundaries. Um, because and I was looking at it the wrong way of like I'm setting boundaries for these other people not to cross, and then I would, then there's consequences or whatnot. Instead of now, I look at boundaries as these are my boundaries that I have set, and so if somebody crosses them now, it is okay. Well, then I take myself out of the situation. I'm not going to punish somebody because they, crossed this boundary. It's like, hey, okay, that's the
mm,
boundary that I have set that you have now crossed, and so now I'm going to remove myself from this situation. Before it would be like, hey, this is my boundary that you better not cross, and if you cross it, then there's consequences for you. But now I'm kind of doing it for like my own sanity and my own safety compared to like putting on somebody else for them to follow. It's more for me now to follow to make sure that as I say, like my castle and um, my space is and energy is safe.
mm. Yes. Okay, so tell everyone that's like, wait a minute, that's what boundaries are? What are you talking about? I didn't know that, right? So what what's been the effect of changing that view on boundaries?
I think changing that view on boundaries for me, in particular, is the fact of okay, if you cross this boundary, then I'm just removing myself from the situation, or this is what I'm going to do. But it's not a this is my boundary, so I'm expecting you to change your behavior to fit into my boundary. Which is I
Mm,
think what we try to do a lot is like this is my boundary, and you set this boundary because you hope the other person will change. And the way that we're doing it and the way we're talking about it is like, okay, you can keep doing whatever you want to, but if you cross my boundary, then I'm going to remove myself from the situation. So you can continue to do what you want to do, but just know that I may not be here, or
mm,
or our relationship might change because you're crossing a boundary that is not okay.
totally. And so how does that way of treating boundaries affect your confidence?
I honestly think it's completely helped it. It's kind of it's managed disappointment through people
Mm,
because you're going through and you like, oh, this is my boundary. Why are they continuing to do this over and over again? And now it's just like, okay, cool. Well, I'm just gonna remove myself from the situation. You have fun. You stay over there. I'm gonna be over here. And please
mm,
do not come over here because you obviously don't respect it. And you can continue to do what you do, but it's just not going to be in my space. And so just confidence level wise, it's just like you're taking back the onus and you're taking back ownership of how you feel and what you want instead of relying on somebody else to change. And then they don't, then you're still like, oh, what am I doing wrong, or anything else of that nature.
totally. Yeah. It's like this is the shit we're talking about when I say have your own back, right?
Right,
Like
exactly.
this is having your own back. This is one of the big ways you have your own back. So good. Um one of the other, on the topic of having your own back and like just showing up more now because you're able to do that, you've been like showing up on Instagram and talking about your business more. And it's been really awesome to see because I love encouraging entrepreneurs to follow their passions. So tell us a little bit more about like what's changed for you entrepreneur wise.
So as far as going into business, I am I have a clear vision, one for sure, about how I want the business to run and to operate.
Mm,
And also, even though I don't post every day, or I won't even say I post every other day, when I do post, it's a very authentic post. And so
yes.
it's one of those things of, hey, this is an experience that I had or experience that I've talked to people about, shopping. And I think one of my last posts came about of, shopping should be fun. And that came from a whole conversation with a friend who went shopping, and the sales associate, he went shopping with his boyfriend, and the sales associate was like, "Oh, your boyfriend looks great in this, and you're okay, right?" And made them look, and they make them feel the best. And that's kind
Mm,
of one of those things where it's like, wait, really? Like the sales associate said that? Like that's not what shopping should be. That's not how how you should feel. And when you're going through, especially looking at fashion and you're looking at your image and everything else, you need to feel confident. You need to feel you need to have fun. You need it to project what you want to the outside world. And having a sales associate like that is not helping you do that. They can actually hurt your confidence if you're like, oh, you look okay. I would be mortified if I went somewhere and they said, oh, you just look okay. Like, wait, I'm trying to buy something to look good and you tell me to look okay. I'm leaving.
right.
And so
At
and so
least give me advice on like making it look fantastic. Don't just leave me with you look okay.
correct, right? That's just not okay. And so I think like some things like that was, and so I'm like, this is a good post experience, right? Like, so I'm using these things
Mm,
to say, hey, let me help post and have these conversations with people. And like, like, I'm sorry you went through that, 'cause that's not what kind of experience. So it's allowed me to have also organic conversations with people that's not even on like Instagram or social media, but like people in my everyday life when they're talking about their experiences in shopping. It's like, that's not what it should be like. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, well, when I go shopping next time or I need something, I'm coming to you for it. I'm like, yeah, this
mm-hmm.
come to me. Like I'm, serious about doing that. And then also just kind of in the business space, um, I am working, getting another job right now, which is going to help me in the business space because it's going to allow me to let my creative mind work however I want because I'm not going to have to worry about my my image consulting business making all the money. Right now, that can kind of just be my little baby
Mm-hmm.
that I am just making sure it's nurtured and going and growing the way I want it to grow instead of feeling like I need to go from infant to adult because I need to use that money to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. You're really building it like a very mature business owner slash like parent. Like we really are like a parent of our business when it starts out. Well, really always, right? It's like, oh, my baby is like born. Okay, now it's like a teenager. It's acting up. Okay, now it's like gone off to work and okay, now I'm like retiring, not really retiring, but I mean when you get to the point in business where you're handing things off and having employees and stuff working for you, then like okay, now it's almost like when a parent is retired and like the kid is mostly like, you know, bringing in the income and caring for their parent and stuff. And I don't know, this metaphor is also falling apart a little bit.
I
Let's
think we
be
all got the
honest.
gist.
I will not be just sitting at home caring for my parents when they retire. I love you, mom and dad, but no. I do plan to make lots of money and be able to like give them like a great living scenario when they do
Right.
retire. But um, I'm not going to be changed in diapers. Let me tell you that.
Mm-mm. Nope, not at all. I'm not feeling that one.
No. So, tell us more about your image consulting business, because I think we very briefly touched about it in the episode back in the summer, but like, tell everybody, because you're actually taking clients now. You're available, open for business.
Yes, I am. So as far as business, I am doing a image consulting. Here I am. Is the name of the image consulting business, and it's all about making sure that we start with the confidence to um, for your outfits and for your clothing, and it all came about and all started because being in the world of fashion and loving fashion from an early age, I always looked at fashion as more than just fabric, and that was kind of my thesis for my master's in fashion, and looking into clothing in particular and your image in particular, a lot of times people I have seen can wear very expensive clothing, very nice clothing. However, they're not confident enough in what they're wearing. And so the clothes are actually wearing them instead of them wearing the clothes. And so part of this business is to have everybody feel confident from the inside so that way you're projecting on the outside. So when you're choosing clothing, you're choosing things that are making you feel confident, things that are making you project to the world what you want to see. And I had a very hard time at one point trying to, when talking about clothes and fashion, not making it be very superficial. Because, clothing, people can see it as very materialistic or whatnot. And it's not about the name brands. It's not about, if it's this season or last season, but it's about, and I came to terms with everything. It's because it's about you projecting to the world what you want them to see. Because no matter what we say, when you see somebody, the first thing that you notice is their face or whatnot, and you know their physical attributes, and then you notice their outfit, and their clothes. So we can't deny that part of ourselves or the world of that. We just look at people, and before you even have a conversation with them, you kind of look at the outside. And so I want to make sure that people feel very confident on what they're projecting on the outside. But it actually starts with the inside. And as far as even when I've had the conversations with clients and had conversations, I'm like, it kind of starts with, even the underwear. Like, even though people don't see it, if you're wearing, underwear that make you feel great, that make you feel sexy, and that's what you're trying to project, that's how you're going to feel, because you start from there. But if you're wearing underwear with holes in it or whatnot, and you don't feel sexy, but you're trying to project sexy, it's not going to work. Or, something that makes you feel good, because even though other people might not see it, you know what you're wearing, and you're like, okay, like, I'm feeling good in these. And so that's kind of where we kind of go from there, and we kind of have those conversations. And then we look at what people have in their closet. We, inventory. We do kind of a whole thing of, what's your style, kind of go through education. And then it's kind of go time where we talk about, let's go shopping, whether it's going to be, in person or virtually. So it can be either or, especially in the space. So I'm just here to help people feel good and kind of give them, a little Coach Alex experience, but dealing with clothing and they're confident to go into clothing instead of just kind of doing the confidence coaching the way you do it. So it's kind of similar, but it's a little different.
Yes. You all, if you want to feel fabulous as fuck in your outfits and everything, like, holy shit, you have got to work with MaShawn. And I think probably most of our listeners saw my outfit for my friend's wedding, like a couple months ago, I guess. And MaShawn helped me create that outfit. Like, that was not just that was not me. That was MaShawn. And let me tell you what, I got an endless supply of compliments that entire weekend. Like, people could not stop talking about my outfit. And I did exactly what he said, right? I wore underwear that helped me feel sexy. We started there. And I know that was ended up being a key piece of why, like, I felt so confident. I was glowing. And that's why people, like, were like, what are you, everything about what you're wearing is just, like, I was glowing, y'all. You seriously, if you're considering at all boosting your confidence, and you have an event that you want to go to, if you have like a wardrobe that you're like, I just don't, nothing about my opening my closet makes me feel excited, like, you have got to work with MaShawn. It will change your life.
I mean, can we just mention real quick? Like you're wearing the blazer right now from the wedding, so I mean,
I
obviously, somebody will love
am. Can we even talk about like when? Okay, I'm gonna be like really honest here. So the main reason why I first said, MaShawn, I need to hire you for this is because this is like one of my best friends in the whole world. She was there for me when I was in the hospital after my suicide attempt. Like, and she and I have been through the most wild life twists and turns together. And when she gave me like I got to be a bridesman, which was a huge honor. And when she gave me the requirements for the outfit, I was overwhelmed and constantly like frustrated because it was hard to find a red velvet blazer. It seemed like everything that I was finding was like not even, it was red, but it was like the wrong red. And I got to a point where I was like, the way that I felt every time that I thought about the wedding was frustrated. And I was like, this is my best friend. I do not want to feel frustrated. I want to feel filled up with joy. So you know what? I know someone that's really good at this. MaShawn, can I hire you? Please help me figure this out. And he did. And it took all of the pressure off of me so that I got to feel again like just total joy and ease and fun around my friend's wedding. And it was beautiful. I really would never do it in another way. Like, you're also I think we talked about this, but MaShawn is also going to help me with my looks for the iconic Queer Mastermind, because I need to be feeling fabulous and what's the word? I almost said furious. That is not the word. Fierce. Fabulous and fierce as fuck.
I was like, let me think of what that outfit would look like. Furious outfit. Outfit came to mind.
It better like set on fire or something like Cruella.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going with that one.
The furious outfit. Oh my god. So I'm thrilled. Wait, what else do you have to say? I like told this whole story.
No, I mean that's the biggest compliment, right? Like if you have a client be like, this is how I felt, and this is so. I mean, I couldn't say anything, better than what you just said. And I think too, if you look at the pictures, something that we did differently, and especially Kim in clothing, was we threw that ascot in there, which I think was a very nice kind of touch for people. So, it's there, people are thinking like, oh, I kind of have, different things or different period pieces. We make it all work.
Yeah. And I was like, what is an ascot? I had to Google it. You know what? That honestly might have been like the magical touch, because I was shopping around for ties forever, trying to fit the like Pinterest board that she had created. And every floral tie that I found like sucked. And I would look at it and I was like, this is boring as hell. I do not want to wear this tie. And then instantly when we found that ascot, it was like, oh my God, okay, I'm excited about this now.
And I think the ascot was great too, because it allowed you to wear, as far as your clothing, it allowed you to wear things that are already in your closet, and it allowed you to wear a shirt that was you. And then it's not like, because if you had a regular tie, there was no way you could have wore, your star shirt. There's no way, unless you just kind of had it, tied to tie and had it hang a little bit like Magic Mike. And I don't think
That
at
might
least
not
what
have
you
gone
kind of
over well.
get. So I think it, and so it was like it fit into who you were. So it wasn't like I was
Mm,
trying to change you to say, oh, like this is the latest style. You need to wear this. It was like, all right, what is
oh
going
yeah.
to allow you to be who you are and be confident in yourself and still match what the bride went, and the bride was happy, which was great. So you were happy and
Hmm.
the bride were happy, which means that I'm happy because everybody else is happy.
Exactly. And that right there was the exact experience. I was thrilled with my outfit. She was thrilled with my outfit. And I walked around that entire day feeling so confident. There was not a moment where I was like distracted by what I was wearing. Like, this is uncomfortable. This makes me feel weird. Does this look goofy? None of those thoughts were going through my head because you helped me like create the confident outfit. It was so good.
There you go. You walked in and said, "Here I am."
Yeah, I did. I did. I walked down the aisle. I was like, here I am. Oh, wait, it's not my wedding.
Oh,
Oh my God. Also, you're going to be hired for my actual wedding, FYI. So just, you're
no,
booked.
that's completely fine.
Wait, actually, I don't even know if I'm getting married. I forgot about this. I did have a revelation during the wedding. I was like, I don't know if I want like a wedding or what. We'll see when we get there.
Well, if you have a party, if you do, just a
Yes.
piece, you still gotta look good for a picture. You
Well,
know.
that's true. I do just want fabulous pictures. That's it. Oh my god. Okay, So, tell us what's next for you in the business.
I think next is just, as far as this business, is just continue to grow, just continue to put myself out there and be
Mm-hmm.
authentic with myself and putting it out there, and just having fun. Because
Yeah.
if you're not having fun, then why do it? I could be, working a 9 to 5 and continue working 9 to 5 and not have fun and do that. So I think part of doing your own business is to have fun. So it's just continue to have fun and just learn and see, how it works and just continue to go and just take one day at a time.
I love that. You're so right. So right. I really, really wish that more entrepreneurs knew that. 'Cause so many just got caught up in like the grind, and it's not fun anymore. You want to work you want to work for yourself because it's going to be fun, not because, you know, you want it to suck like your normal job. Like going to work for someone else.
Right.
Um okay, so I'm really curious too. What are you celebrating most about yourself?
I think I am just celebrating life right now. To be honest, I know that sounds probably really cheesy, but at this point, there's so many different changes in my life between my 9 to 5 and kind of like where I'm living at now, and where I potentially might in another move. And
Hmm.
um, 2020 wasn't actually the best. 2021, 2021 wasn't necessarily
I do that all the time.
the most stable part of my life as far as like housing and things of that
Mm.
nature. So right now I am just enjoying, where I'm at, and just being happy, wearing the dogs continue to bark, but just enjoying life and just celebrating every day being alive, because there's so many. Unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, there have been people I know who have passed away. And so it kind of makes you stop and like look at life and be like, let me
Mm.
just enjoy life and where I'm at right now, and enjoy the process that I'm going on. Let me not look at the future where I want to go right now, because sometimes we can get into the mindset of, let me just keep my head down and grind until I get to the end goal and not look at the surroundings. And so right now I am just looking at the surroundings, and I'm still have my eye on the prize and the end goal, but let me enjoy where I'm at in the process of where I'm at, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And so I am just going to enjoy it and celebrate it every day like it could be my last.
Mm. I know you started by saying like it sounds like a cheesy answer, and it does, because it can be cliche, but honestly, when you say that and mean it to your core, like that right there is confident queer energy. That is actually what it means to become confident. Like I am exactly the same. Where if someone asks me like, okay, what do what's especially great right now, and I'm like, okay, well there are like a few little neat things I'm working on, but that's not the most exciting part of life anymore. The most exciting part of life is just that, like, we get to show up and wake up and be alive. We have another day to just live and be, and there's not really a need, like you said, to rush to that accomplishment anymore. It's like that is not confidence. That's outsourcing your self-love, outsourcing your security to something that's in the future, and it never feels good. What actually is like the biggest, most amazing expression of life is being able to be exactly where you are right now, of like, I'm enjoying life.
Right. And I think too, quickly, you mentioned, and I think we talked about it in one of our sessions. If you make that goal, then you set another goal, and then when you make that goal, you go to another goal. So you're always chasing a goal here, because when you get one place, you get going. So you're never actually really stopping when you get that goal to celebrate, because then you make something else, and then you start heading towards that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So what's the point if you're going to torture yourself? That's not what
Right.
goals are for.
Nope, not at all.
Okay. If you had one just little nugget to drop for everyone today, one piece of advice or message, anything would you offer?
Invest in you.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is, whether or not you need to, sign up for with Coach Alex, I suggested. You know, it's your or if you need to invest in maybe something for health wise, or like the gym or something, like, do it, because that's something that you can take with you over your lifetime. And then I think sometimes we are so afraid to invest in ourselves, and that
Mm.
we can invest in everybody else, but when it comes to ourselves, we neglect ourselves. And so I have been very happy that I took the time to invest in myself, to go through, this process, because
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see how it changed my life, and how it's going to help me in the future. And it's something that's always going to be with me, instead of like, oh, I'm going to invest this in somebody else or something else. And then, you only have it for a limited amount of time, and you don't get to keep it over your life. So I think
Mm.
my little nugget, for everybody else is, if you're thinking about investing in yourself, no matter what it is, do it. Don't put it off, or don't wait and say, oh, I'll do it, next week, next year, in a couple of years. Do it now.
Yeah. Brilliant. I so agree. I so agree. Um, so once more, let everyone know where they can find you, interact with you. They want to be your best friend. They want to hire you so they can be confident as fuck when they open that closet.
Well, if you can find me on Instagram at It's MaShawn, you can just connect with me there, and you can just send me a DM, friend request, whatnot, and follow me. And we can link up, and we can start.
Amazing. So I'll put your information, of course, in the show notes so that it's there for everyone, so you can easily click on that and find MaShawn and go work with him. Seriously, I 10 out of no wait 12 out of 10 recommend. 10, gross. We're not going for perfection. We're going for
Across the
mind
board, I'm here
blown.
for it.
Oh my goodness. All right, my friend. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing your experience with everyone and giving them so many awesome tips on just what it means to really embody confidence. You truly are an example of what it means to be a confident queer. So thank you.
Well, I have to say, thank you for help coaching me along this way, because sometimes I can be difficult sometimes, and so you were good to keep me going in the right path.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure. So thank you. It's been great to coach you. All right, everyone. Wait, were you going to say something? Sorry.
I was not. I think I'm good.
Okay. All right, everyone. We will see you next week. Have an amazing week, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend so they too can become more confident. You can also help more people find the show by leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. And if you want to become a more confident queer with support from yours truly, head to coachalexray.com or use the link down in the show notes. I'm looking forward to working with you.